Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. You can call me Kai and this is my crafty corner of the internet where I talk about everything that I've been up to recently. Most of the time I'm talking about cross stitch, although I will be getting into some sewing projects and I even picked up knitting this last month, so I'm excited to show you guys that. But yeah, we're back with another flosstube update video. So in July, I had a bit of a different set of goals. Because July is also artfight. I explained it a little bit in my last update video, but for those of you who don't know what that is, artfight is an online art gifting game where users who sign up get placed onto one of two teams, and you earn points for your team by making art of other people's characters. Most of the time it's very digital art focused, lots of drawings, lots of digital art, 3D animations, that kind of stuff. But artfight does have a crafting category, so I did a few different cross-stitch attacks, which I'll talk about here. Yeah, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into my whips. So like I said, July was kind of a different thing in that I was trying to do a lot of other stuff on top of my normal cross-stitching. Or my regular cross-stitch whips did not get a whole lot of progress because I was making other things and they all had to be completed within the month of July in order to count for artfight points. So just keep that in mind as you're looking through my stuff and you're like, what happened? We'll get into that. But first off, my oldest whip is my Enchanted Ornaments stocking by Dimensions Gold Collection. I started this project on April 7th, 2025. And I'm stitching this with all the included kit materials, so I'm stitching it on the 16 count light blue Aida with all of the dimensions threads and all of that. Here is where I was at last time you guys saw it. And in July, I stitched on this for 3 days. And here's where I'm at now. So you can see a lot more progress happened in these leaves and fir branches back here. I'll bring it in just a little bit closer. Still trying to work my way through the background stitching on the second page of the chart. Slowly getting all of the green symbols done. I was kind of hoping to have had a little more progress on this, but it just didn't happen. So I thought for sure that I had stitched on it a lot longer than more than 3 days, but according to my notes, I didn't. So I'm still planning on working on this next month. In fact, this is going to be my focus piece for next month, but we'll get into that a little more when I start talking about my August plans. So yeah, just trying to finish up the background stitching. And then once I get done with the leaves and the berries and stuff back here, I'm going to move into, you can kind of just barely see it. There's a single strand of half stitches that also go behind everything. So I'll do that next. And then I will move over and work inside the baubles. So yeah, not really much to say on that one. And then my next whip is June Blooms by Heaven and Earth Designs with artwork by Margaret Morales. I started this project on April 24th, 2025. I'm stitching this 1/1 full cross on 25 count pre-gridded Zwide Art Lugana. Here is where I was at last time you guys saw it. And frankly, I'm a little disappointed with my progress on this. Just with everything else that was kind of going on, this one kind of, it definitely got pushed to the side. Which makes me a little sad because I do really love this piece. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So I did not get a whole lot of progress done. In fact, I didn't even reach 1,000 stitches total on it. In July, I stitched on this for a total of 5 days and added 816 new stitches. So I've completed another one of my diagonals, and that's about it. I've hit the rightmost box on page 2, but you know, other things were taking up my stitching time. Like I said, artfight being a challenge with a deadline, I pretty much dedicated all of my time to working on artfight. That way, I could get I had my own goals for that this year, so don't have enough time in the day to do everything. But I still really love this piece, and I'm absolutely going to continue working on it, but I may have to take a break from it for a little bit. And like I said, I'll get more into that when it comes to time talking about plans. So yeah, and then I've got one more regular whip to show you. My next whip is Overlook Cafe by Dimensions Gold Collection Petites. I started this on June 6th, 2025, and just so I could have a little project to go for when I can get out of the house and go down to the local coffee shop for a little bit, just to give me something to do while I'm there. Stitching this with all the included kit materials, so it's being stitched on 18 count white Aida with all of the dimensions threads. Here is where I was at last time you guys saw it, and here's where I'm at now. Not a whole lot of progress because I only stitched on this for one day. But I think I added in all of these browns down here. I think I added some more browns up here. Picking whatever symbol comes next in this top row, and then stitching all of that. And then kind of stitching all of that cross country until I run out of thread, and then I'll pick a different symbol and stitch that. So the piece is probably going to fill in kind of this way, which is kind of fun to see. But this is absolutely not a priority stitch for me. It's just to give me something to do when I'm out at the coffee shop. So I'm okay with only having stitched on this for one day. This piece will get done whenever it gets done, and I'm perfectly okay with that. All right. So with that all done and out of the way, those were all of my whips. And now we're gonna get into artfight stuff. So for artfight this year, my main goal was to get at least six attacks. 10 would have been even better, and 11 would have been ideal. That way I could have, because when I started the fight, I was sitting at 89 total attacks across my entire time on the site, and by doing 11 attacks, that meant I could reach 100 attacks, which is a really awesome achievement. So I did end up doing 3 different cross-stitch pieces and then 9 different drawings. A few of them were done traditionally with just pencil and my Copic markers, and then a few more of them were done digitally. But I know you guys are all here for the cross-stitch, so we'll just talk about that. So I did 3 different cross stitches with 3 different finishes. The first one I did was for Love Wug on Artfight, and this is their character Cherry Lime. I finished this off for them. So this was stitched on 14 count plastic canvas with DMC thread, and I've just finished it off as a little keychain or a phone strap, whatever they want to do with it. I will be mailing these finished pieces out now that the fight's over. So yeah, let's see. I think this one was about 250 stitches, something like that. And this one stitched up very quick. I was able to complete this within a couple days of stitching it. The way I do these artfight attacks is I actually design these charts myself. So this is artwork by me, and then I stitched it. I drew the art first in my digital art program, then I ran it through Floss Cross to turn it into a cross stitch chart, and then I stitched all of that up too. And so that was all done during July as well. and I've never drawn My Little Ponies before. So, and I really like it. Like, I think this is a really, really nice little keychain, and I hope that Lovewug enjoys it too. Okay, and then the next piece that I did is for Yammers on Artfight. This is their character Trinket. Trinket is a TTRPG character, a little goblin who likes to steal things, and their hat is essentially a bag of holding. Character also just jingles everywhere. So like, this is a really fun design. So this is just stitched on 18 count white Aida. And then to finish it off, I just sewed it to a piece of backing fabric. I included a loop so that it can just hang on the wall like this as is, or it's sized small enough and flat enough that it could be put inside a photo frame. This is my preferred method for finishing cross-stitch pieces, like cross-stitch attacks for Artfight, just because like it's really easy to do. It's all stuff that I have in my stash anyway, and it ships very flat, so that's nice. But yeah, so again, artwork and charting was done by myself. So I forgot to write down like how many total stitches this was, but something like that. It's actually quite a lot. So this one took me about a week and a half to fully stitch up. And yeah, so there's that one. And my last cross stitch attack is for Plug Nuts on Artfight. This is their character Palu. And this is also stitched on 18 count Aida, but I hand dyed it myself using Rit dye. And it was stitched, this one I actually tracked in Pattern Keeper, so I remember the stitch count. It has 4,789 stitches or something like that. It was actually quite a lot. I used all DMC thread. The leaves up here were stitched with the Autumn Leaves Variations 4070, and then the rest is just straight DMC. And I have it framed in a rubber nerd tube, and then the back is finished with felt. And yeah, not much else to say about it. Again, artwork and charting done by me. This was, I did not grid this project, and I reminded myself why I like gridding my projects. Because I opted to start stitching the outline first. That way, when it came down to it, I could just like fill in the sections that I wouldn't have to continually reference the chart. And I kept miscounting and kept miscounting and kept miscounting. So I ripped out stitches like about 20 different, like the same stitches about 20 different times because I just could not count. And then I ran into, you can see here, there's a bit of a difference in the hair colors. It's all supposed to be 801, and I ran into an issue of really different dye lots for some reason. So I started out by stitching this with this lighter color, and then I ran out of thread. And I was like, oh, no big deal. I still have some 801 on a new skein. And then I started stitching it, and you could tell, like, it was just so bad. So I had to rip out some of the lighter stitches and then do what I could to blend it together so that it wasn't quite as noticeable, because there was no way I was going to be able to like rip out like 300 plus stitches up in here and still have time to finish this with an Artfight. So, but it's done now. I'm actually really pleased with how it came out otherwise. And you know, for my first time dyeing fabric, I really like the modeling on this. And I even had a little bit left over for another project, so which we will talk about in a little bit. So yeah, that was my art fight stitching. So art fight took me, or just the stitching part of art fight took me 17 days, and the total stitch count across all 3 projects was 8,121. So while I didn't get a whole lot of stitching done on my main whips, all of my stitching, I still managed to do like quite a few number of stitches into 3 new starts. And they all got finished and fully finished, which I'm really pleased with. So those are going to be sent out to their respective recipients. Yeah, that was my cross stitching for the month. Again, with art fight, I was able to do quite a bit of drawing on top of that, but I'm not going to put that in here. But yeah, I did my 11 attacks for the year. I hit 100 total attacks on site, and I'm really pleased with that. Yeah. And then otherwise, crafting wise, in July, I did just a little bit of sewing. I started cutting out pieces for my toddler's quilt. I'm making the Pumpkin Farm quilt by Fig Tree & Co. for her first big kid bed. We are planning on transitioning her into that come next January, so I'm trying to make this quilt, hoping that I can finish it in time that it can be a Christmas present. I got more of the pieces for the blocks cut out. They're not all the way done. I still have like a bunch of ivory background pieces to cut out, but I feel like I should be able to get that done like within the next week. That way I can get started, because my hope is to start piecing the blocks together this month. And then the other thing that I sewed this month was the Rosary Shorts by Rosary Apparel. It's a free pattern. I needed another pair of pajama shorts, and I had some flannel fabric laying around in my stash for about a decade. So it was nice to finally be able to use that. I'm just going to pop a picture in up here of my finished shorts. I did make some modifications. The shorts patterns as they are like extremely oversized. So I sized down like 1 or 2 sizes, and frankly I could probably have gone down another size. And then I even took 3 inches of length from the top to raise the crotch up. Otherwise they were going to be like a really extremely dropped crotch, which bothers me when I'm sleeping. It was a fairly straightforward pattern. Not much to say about that. It's, like I said, it's free, so if you're interested in learning how to sew, I think it's probably a really good beginner's pattern. It comes with a step-by-step video, but it does not come with written instructions. So if you're someone who likes having written words to reference back to, you may want to take some time to write out the instructions from the video so you can have your written and as the video is going on. So that's just my little tip for that. And yep, that's all I've got for sewing. And then my other craft that I did this month, I started knitting. Like I needed another craft, really, but this has been something that I've been trying to like ignore the siren's call of learning how to do, but in the end it won out. So yeah, this is my first knitting project. At the moment, I don't really have a plan or anything like that. I think I've got like 48 or 49. I think I started with 48, but I think I may have somehow ended up with 49 stitches on here. And I'm just literally just using this as practice to learn the stitches. So right now it's just a stockinette stitch scarf, I think is what you'd call it. Yeah, I've got, so I, doing my alternating rows of knits and purls. So, and then the back side of that, this is probably like my third or fourth attempt. But yeah, so this is the yarn that I am using for this is Mainstays 100% cotton yarn I just picked up from Walmart, and then I think these are Lion brand needles, US size 8, 5.0 millimeter cable needles, I think. But these are bamboo, which I actually really like a lot. So I don't know, like I said, I don't expect this to become like a new main hobby for me. I just wanted to learn how to do it. I have a desire to make my own cardigan, to knit my own cardigan for winter, just to wear around the house. So that's something I'd like to work up to, but it's not a major priority. But it is nice to have some little thing that I can do with my hands that doesn't involve like a whole stand or hoops or many tiny needles. With all of that out of the way, now we can start talking about August plans. So I kind of started talking about this a little bit when I was showing off my whips, but so I'm getting frustrated personally by my lack of progress across my main whips, just because I kind of have too many going. I know that like 3 isn't a lot to a lot of people, but to me, considering the fact that my 2 main ones, my stocking and June blooms, are both like really large charts and really large projects, that it's rough for me right now. I can't juggle both of them and feel impressed with the progress that I make on both, because I either find that something else slips by, or one of them just does not get as much progress as I want it to be getting. So with that in mind, I'm going to put down June blooms for the month of August, and I am going to heavily focus on getting my enchanted ornament stocking completed. That is going to be my main focus piece in August. That is going to be the only thing that I'm stitching on when I'm here at home. And my main reasoning for that is there is a new stitch along coming out that I really want to be part of, that I wanted to be part of so bad I bought the pre-sale bundle for. The stitch along that I'm talking about is the Twigs and Tea stitch along by Fine Frog Stitching. The frames will release August 8th, and then the first part of the stitch along will release September 5th. So this is going to be a weekly release stitch along. So you get, a new chart every Friday. And I really like being able to keep on top of my stitch alongs. I don't like falling behind on them. So that's going to run the entirety of September all the way through October, November, and then into the first week of December. So that's going to be like the entire fall is this stitch along. So if I have that going on top of my other 3 whips, well, then that means I have 4 whips, and that's way too much. That is way too much. I cannot keep up with that amount and still feel satisfied with the amount of stitching that I'm doing. So I'm going to put down June blooms. That way I can focus on getting my ornament stocking done. That is 100% going to be the only thing that I stitch on at home, but we do have a road trip coming up across the second week of August. There's going to be a lot of time spent in the car, so I'm going to take a few different travel pieces with me and work on those in the car trip. So I'm planning on taking twigs and tea, because the frames will release while we're en route. So I'll be able to stitch that in the car. I'm going to take my Overlook Cafe. And then the other travel piece that I want to take that I'd like to stitch once I get the twigs and tea frames done up is Brambled Badger. This is the bonus chart that came with the Secret Grove Stitch Along by Need A Lot Designs. I was not able to include it on my Secret Grove fabric because I just did not have the space for it, and I was really heartbroken by that. But since I dyed the Ada for Plugnuts' Artfight Attack, that navy color, and I had extra that I didn't need for that, I cut it off and I saved it, and I'm going to stitch Bramble the Badger on it. So again, this is 18 count hand-dyed Ada by myself, just using navy blue Rit dye. I have it all gridded up and ready to go for Bramble the Badger, and everything is kitted up inside this little project bag that I made at the start of July, just so I had something to put all of my Artfight Attack pieces in. So yeah, just a very simple little zip pouch project bag. So I'm going to take Bramble the Badger. I'm going to take Twigs and Tea. Twigs and Tea currently does not have a project bag because I don't have a project bag for it. They're all full, which is another reason why I really need to get my Enchanted Ornament stocking just done and out of the way, because I don't have any more project bags. So those 3 pieces will be my travel pieces, and then I don't expect Twigs and Tea frame to take too long to finish up, so I should be able to have time to then stitch on Bramble the Badger, and that would be great if I could get that finished in August too. That way that's just done and out of my queue, and then any time left over will be spent stitching on Overlook Cafe, because that would be the only other project that I would bring. Then when we come home, I'm going to pretty much do like a Christmas in August, because it will be solely focused on my stocking. If I manage to finish like fully all the crosses, all the back stitching, all of that on the Enchanted Ornament stocking, I will then allow myself to pick up June blooms. So that'll be my reward for getting through the stocking. Sewing plans, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do everything I can to finish cutting out all of the pieces for the pumpkin farm quilt. That way I can start piecing it together. I'd ideally like to get the whole block, or the whole top pieced together, and get that all finished together by the end of the quarter, so the end of September. Get the whole quilt top pieced and sewn together. That way I can work on doing the actual quilting part over October, November. I think I'm just going to do like a really simple quilt pattern, like quilting pattern on my domestic machine. I'm not going to take it to a long arm quilter or anything like that. I'm still a little undecided on that, so we'll see what happens there. Then the other things that I'm planning on sewing are going to be a project case for my Twigs and Tea stitch along. I have designs and plans for what I'm calling a floss drop folio. I'll input some preliminary design sketches in here of what that looks like, but basically I want like a trifold little wallet case, folio case thing, with elastic bands and pockets to hold my floss drops. So one thing with me, I put all my threads on floss drops because I like how easy it is to find my working threads from them, but I don't like tangling threads, so I have to have my floss separated somehow so that way they just can't tangle together. So I will never just throw my floss drops in a project bag and call it good. I have to put them in something else. Most of the time it'll be in like these floss away baggies, but I don't like the bulk that comes with that either. So I'm trying to figure out something else to do, like just for project storage. Like long-term storage, I'm happy with my system, but project storage definitely needs something else. So I'll be definitely sewing a project bag at the very least, and then we'll try to get to a floss drop folio. So hopefully I can show you guys that the next time this happens, or in the next flosstube video. And then recently I ordered some really gorgeous sage green linen from fabricmartfabrics.com. I've never worked with linen before, but I keep hearing that it is a very beautiful fabric that just gets better and better with every wash. So I'm excited to try it. My plans for this are to sew my Sodus dress from Deer and Doe. And this is what that looks like. I'm going to sew that with this 100% linen. And I'd ideally love to get that finished before September 10th, so that way I can wear it for family pictures. So I'll be sure to share more of that when that gets going. Currently, the fabric just came in yesterday. I have not pre-treated it or anything like that. I'm honestly a little afraid to, but I know that I really do need to get this, with linen, you really do need to go through the pre-washing and shrinking phase before you cut it out and start sewing with it. Otherwise your clothes are going to shrink. So I'm just really scared of maybe not having enough for the dress that I want to make, but we'll see what happens. So yep, I'm pretty sure that's about everything that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so hopefully next time I see you guys, I'll be able to show some actual progress on my main whips. But we'll see how things shake out. But as always, thank you so much for being here today and taking the time to watch this little video. I hope you take the time to be kind to yourself and do something that you enjoy, and I will see you guys next time. Bye friends, happy stitching!